All right, beloved. Pilot for an outreach for postmodern Judeo-Christian authoritives and parishioners alike. Come away. No, stay. Take that back. Be inclusive. Stay where you're at. But move your mind into the heavens, into science, into astrology, into the things that could and would be the great possibilities. Where did it come from? Was they all here? Did they reflect down from the kingdom above? From ones who dwell in the heavens, whom we know Kaiwan, Kaiyan, Kevin, Saturnus. Does being funny here, kids. So, the ancient concept is that we serve the things that actually control the place, right? The powers in the heavens. Some of that's true. Some of that dogma actually got some of it right. Now, here's my point. It does not hurt Christianity to take a telescope and look at Jupiter, does it? Does it hurt your Christian ways to say, can I have favor in Jupiter? You don't have to say ball, even though Jupiter is shaped like a ball, and balls are resplendent. And the service of balls is what makes humanity go forward. Just some thought. It makes the world go round. And we know ball Jupiter has favor now. You want Jeebus Cross? You're in the waiting line. It's all dogma. Don't know if he's even coming. You want Yahushai? Waiting line. Fake dogma on top of fake dogma. Fake dogma's initiator of fake dogma's dogma on top of fake dogma with apocalyptic Judaism wrapped around it in Gnosticism. Because if you get into the Gospels, they talk about the celestial things. And Paul can't even talk to him about it. What about celestial things? Well, you mean them spirits up there? What, a celestial understanding and wisdom understanding up there in the stars? Only rated for kings and people who really understand and know what to do with it and have the rights and Templar access to them? See, the reality is those powers. We always had access to them. The fundamental thing is that people say that they're in between us. They're not really in between us. Some of us are astrologically not as similar. More predisposed for getting favor, or attaining the mind that would ascend enough for favor to be affixed to live responsibly, to interact in a way that is pleasing to the chief of your power. Specifically, we know Saturn dwells in the interactions, right? The interactions between people. He watches them. He doesn't actually get involved. He's not involved in the way you think you are. He'll get in your mind and be like, ask you questions and challenge you. Do you think this is a good thing? And most people think, oh, this is Satan. He's going to validate my thing. What I'm doing is the right thing. He's going to cover my thing. Then what's going on? So these are powers that don't look at the things the way we do. They look at them like, what is socially responsible and not, right? And if you're in the way of other people, they don't necessarily, if you're destroying lots of people and their stuff, they don't like that. They're going to have this society separate you, or they're going to come up with a way for you to get ramifications somehow, or to get cosmological consequences, right? It may come up again, where you can come back and you get attached to a lower existence, right? Because we believe that there are ascensions and descensions in this gross reality complex, right? Where people have better time at things and worse time at things, right? That's just how this is, right? And that is based on your mind's ability to interact with this mind-matter complex. We believe the ascension thereof of the mind, once we get into the astral reality, because the celestial reality is the terrestrial reality, which is how they had such great success before in ancient times, choreographing the affairs of a great statehood and empire predicated on astrological concepts, astral cartography, astrological concepts where the stars are fractions of our persona, right? And they play into how the choreography of the ages works out, right? And we know that the planets play into those aspects too. Your astrology has a lot to do with who you are, what you're going to get access to, what you do, how much favor you can generate in, I want to say pseudo-religious practices, because it's really an honor system. It's a rites, submittals, because you're going to the temple for rites. Because these powers, there's not a temple you can get things from in those fake religions. You can't get anything from it. You can't get the wisdom and understanding to move forward in your life. You can just show up for vain service, say a couple Our Fathers, and you get a little honor from Saturn because you are worshiping the Sky Father. There's Saturn, and he's having got the Saturn cross. I mean, or the Jupiterian cross, or whatever cross that he's making you bear this time for not fucking having it right. Bottom line, I believe that the best thing for humanity to create a cohesive structure is to move back to those stars. They said, oh, well, people are star-locked. No, they're lying. That is a narrative concept. You get an aspect of those personalities, right? And based on what time things happen, yes, you kind of have a little bit of a date with destiny. Your Saturn date might be able to be seen, you know? You get an idea of how long you're going to be, how vital you're going to be, what access, what your mind power is going to look like. And when you go to appeal, how you're going to have to do that. Because depending on what your astrology is, you're not going to be able to appeal yourself. You may have to go to a Templar priest or somebody who has a specific astrology that does the services correctly. Because the favor process is as this. The gods in the ancient times only had specific people they favored. They didn't deal with everybody on the same level. There are people they dealt with one-on-one in the mind that they wanted to have to talk. They had people oracle out. We believe those things actually had such value. They were able to predicate the moves of great empires with success. And then we kicked that to the curb. What, for fucking computers? So that the Saturn's fucking goons can spy on us for generations? Come on. We need to come up with something that's cohesive. It's great to share and view videos and have fun on the internet. But what about societal cohesion? Really, it's just led to vanity and not splendor. People not really learning how to create more. But people are using people who create to enjoy cheap entertainment, right? Which is okay. There's some value in that. How long is that sustainable? I don't know. I put it up for fun up, so I can go back later like, man, if I want to make a really good channel, here's some content material. And I've laid it all out. I don't have to go back to the brain and be like, where is that stored? I got this opportunity through technology to be able to store it, Back in ancient times, through witchcraft, we were able to talk without talking. Teaching through sigils, teaching through pictograms, that people who were initiated could pick out the certain concepts and assemble what was really absolutely being communicated with higher accuracy, right? They said Solomon was able to teach people witchcraft from halfway across the world through sigils. And he could just do from where he was at, send the information through getting favor, doing his work, right? Doing the favor and submittals and appeals and approval process for the area he was trying to send something, right? Looking at transit patterns, astral cartography, and applying it to something. You kind of understand, it's like, this stuff is applied to something. There was a little bit more back then. There was a little more magic to the times back then, I believe. I think the mind power here, we've slipped so much. We give the thinking over to things rather than ourselves. And then we live out a society where we're overly emotionalized, overly sexualized, overly industrialized, overly processed, and end up with mental content that's similar to that. It has some value. Yes, go to work, do all the things that, like the society functions on, but also learn how to be more cohesive, learn how to interact with people better, learn how to build more than separate. Because I think what's been going on, as we've been separating society for so long, we forgot that we need to actually be together to function and actually continue to form and fit out something that's a development rather than a decadence, right? And that's what our hope is for, right? a development over a decadence. Yeah. Just some thoughts. Knowledge dump, necromancer out. Later, y'all. Spectromancer as well, because we separate spectrums. We make people understand things. And hey, listen, you can serve planets and your stupid other or your whatever gods. It's not a big deal. Most of them don't say you can't honor a planet. Just some thoughts, because this thing, the real powers, they understand. You guys have a cap on your understanding here, and that they won't lock you out of anything, everything, and you still get value out of it. You just don't get understanding, right? You don't get the ability to think higher into a better realm where you can find yourselves instead of in that constant panic state, response state, worry state, fear state. You can move into a self-actualized state where you become more of a former of reality rather than formed by the reality around you. Because who wants that as a reality? That's really tough to swallow. We should be able to Saturn wants us to be able to form our own realities and be self-willed. There's a flexible amount of this reality, and there's enough room to realize it, where we can all up the, the standard of living unilaterally throughout the entirety of existence. That's what should be getting focused on. But we're not doing that. We're worried about trade. We're worried about all the things that society administers. And if any major thing happens, all that fine, refined network of thieving and kleptocrating is gone in an instant, right? I think we're going to have to go back to doing without the book. I can't wait until something shakes down, that space weather changes up, that everybody has to start looking at humanity like, if we're going to make it, we got to make it together. Well, should have been looking at that. We could have been looking at that a long time ago. Why weren't we doing that? Why was it set up for everybody to be divided against each other? They're like, oh, something happens, we need to do something for ourselves. Disease could do that. Does it have to be that? Do the gods have to get angry at for us to become cohesive again? To consider each other at a high level? I don't know. Just some thoughts. I believe Leo King. I watch his astrology all the time. Cosmic consequences are a thing. Leos know cosmic consequences are a thing. Especially the Saturn Leo. Some thoughts. Later, beloved.